Welcome back, everyone. Today we are diving into two of the most important concepts in Python programming, conditional statements and while loops. These concepts are used in almost every program ever created. Whether you are making a game, designing a website, building an app, or creating a robot, you will need conditional statements and loops. By the end of this lesson, you will understand how computers make decisions and how they repeat actions automatically. These skills are essential for every programmer. Before computers can make decisions, they need information. Programs work with data such as numbers, words, scores, temperatures, and many other types of information. A program often needs to answer questions about that data. Is a score high enough to pass? Is a player still alive in a game? Is there enough money in an account? To answer questions like these, programs use conditional statements. A conditional statement allows a program to choose between different actions. Think about real life. If it is raining, you bring an umbrella. If it is sunny, you might wear sunglasses. If it is cold, you put on a jacket. Every day, people make decisions based on conditions. Computers do the same thing using conditional statements. The most common conditional statement is called the if statement. The word if tells the program to check whether something is true. If the condition is true, the program performs an action. If the condition is false, the program skips that action. This simple idea gives programs the ability to react to different situations. Imagine a student receives a score of 95 on a test. A program could check whether the score is high enough to pass. If the condition is true, the program displays a success message. If the condition is false, it displays a different message. This is one of the simplest examples of a conditional statement. Conditions are based on comparisons. A program may compare two numbers, two values, or two pieces of information. For example, it may check whether 10 is greater than 5, whether 20 is equal to 20, or whether a score is greater than 80. Every comparison produces one of two results, true or false. Think about a video game. The game constantly checks conditions. Is the player's health greater than 0? Has the player reached the finish line? Did the player collect enough points to unlock a reward? These decisions help determine what happens next in the game. Conditional statements are not only used in games. Banks use them to approve transactions. Schools use them to calculate grades. Online stores use them to determine discounts. Social media apps use them to decide which notifications to show. Conditional statements are everywhere in technology. Now let's move on to loops. A loop is a tool that allows a program to repeat actions. Imagine having to write the same instruction 100 times. That would take a long time and create a lot of unnecessary work. Loops solve this problem by repeating actions automatically. Think about brushing your teeth. You move the brush back and forth many times. Imagine counting every movement individually. Instead, you repeat the same action until the task is complete. Loops work in a similar way. They repeat actions until a condition changes. There are different types of loops in programming. Today, we will focus on the while loop. The while loop is one of the easiest loops to understand because it repeats as long as a condition remains true. Imagine you are counting from 1 to 10. You start at 1 and continue counting until you reach 10. A while loop can perform this task automatically. The loop keeps repeating while the condition remains true. Once the condition becomes false, the loop stops. Think about a race. As long as the race is still happening, the runners continue moving. When the race ends, they stop. A while loop follows the same idea. The loop continues running while its condition is true and stops when the condition becomes false. Video games often use while loops. As long as the game is running, the program keeps checking for player actions, updating scores, moving characters, and displaying graphics. Without loops, games would stop working almost immediately. Websites also use loops. A website may need to process many pieces of information, such as comments, messages, or products. Instead of handling each one individually, a loop can repeat the same process for every item. Scientists use loops when analyzing data. Businesses use loops when processing sales information. Engineers use loops when testing designs. Loops help automate tasks that would otherwise take hours or even days to complete. Conditional statements and loops often work together. A program might use a loop to keep repeating actions and use conditional statements to decide what happens during each repetition. Together, they create programs that are both powerful and flexible. Imagine a quiz game. The game keeps asking questions while the player still has questions remaining. After each answer, the game checks whether the answer is correct. The loop controls the repetition, and the conditional statement controls the decision making. Another example is a fitness app. The app may continue tracking steps while the user is active. During the process, the app checks conditions such as whether the daily goal has been reached. Again, loops handle repetition, while conditional statements handle decisions. One of the most important ideas in programming is that computers follow instructions exactly. They do not guess, assume, or interpret information the way humans do. Conditional statements and loops give computers a structured way to make decisions and repeat actions. As programs become larger, these tools become even more important. A simple calculator, a mobile app, a website, and a video game all depend on conditional statements and loops. Learning these concepts is a major step toward becoming a programmer. Let's review conditional statements. Conditional statements allow programs to make decisions. They check whether a condition is true or false and then choose an action based on the result. The most common example is the if statement. Now let's review while loops. A while loop repeats actions as long as a condition remains true. When the condition becomes false, the loop stops. This allows programs to automate repetitive tasks efficiently. Together, conditional statements and while loops form the foundation of many computer programs. They help computers think logically, respond to information, and perform tasks automatically. Great job! You have learned how conditional statements help programs make decisions and how while loops help programs repeat actions. These concepts are essential building blocks of Python programming. As you continue learning, you will use them again and again to create more advanced and exciting programs. Keep practicing, keep experimenting, and keep building your programming skills. See you in the next lesson.